It's showtime, folks. Welcome in. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game on this Tuesday, this very, very rainy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We don't let rain bring us down. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier behind the glass. JoJo, what's going on?
It's a beautiful day, man. I don't care what you say. It might be raining out there, but in the words of the great Jimmy Buffett, wherever you go, always take the weather with you. That means you provide the sunshine and the spark and the smiles. It's raining weather-wise. It may be miserable, but inside it's absolutely beautiful. Now take that and run with it, young man.
You are just Captain Positivity. I love it.
Got to be that way, man. Otherwise, the world will bring you down. Big time.
It does. It tries. That's for sure. But you know what? We're not going to let it do that. I'm excited to talk to our buddy Rick Stockstill, longtime MTSU coach, was at Florida State this year. Obviously, he coached Reed Blankenship and several others that have won Super Bowls as Blue Raider alums over the past few years. But Reed Blankenship recently winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles just a couple of nights ago. So we're going to talk to Coach Stock about that and much more coming up at 10 o'clock. Going to be really good to catch up with him.
Well, not only that, but what was the stat? 6 straight Super Bowls. MTSU's had a player in there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did we read that correctly? Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
It'll be good, and that's got to be just
right.
As a football coach to have your guy on the biggest stage win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's got to be a great feeling.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Like when I see you dress yourself correctly, I get excited. I'm like, that's my guy. I mean, I took him from a pup to where he is now. So when you do that, I'm all excited. I feel empowered. And that's the word for today, empowerment.
You really did take me from a pup. I was like a stray on the street. And
we got to give our buddy Greg Pogue a little credit too, man, because we took you in and molded you a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we put you in your little basket and sit you down the Cumberland River like Moses.
I was lucky. I had you and Pogue. I had, Darren and Willie and Benefield and Plaster. And I mean, it just got it from everywhere. So.
It was like 6 men and a baby. And you were the baby. That's my baby.
It's a baby. I eat babies.
So did I hear the Auburn's in town tonight? Did I hear
They are. I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go to the game.
Are they ranked still 1?
Yeah.
That's all. I'm a huge Bruce Pearl fan. You know
so
why?
So am I.
I'm a huge Bruce Pearl fan for an incident happened 15 years ago. So he's a good dude. And I don't know. That's just kind of cool to see them number 1 rolling in here. But remember last year they won the SEC tournament, then lost in the first round last year. So hopefully they don't do that again this year.
My thing about Bruce Pearl is, are Vols fans over it, or are they still secretly just like, why'd we let him go? I mean, and who knows if he's the coach he is, if he's at Tennessee this long and all that. So I mean, we'll never know. But I mean, he's been at Auburn for close to 10 years, if not 10 years, right?
I think he started in 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Auburn,
so I mean, he's been there a good
his
while.
Last year at Tennessee was 2011. They got beat by Michigan.
Yeah.
In the tournament, and it just ended badly. And I think that Tennessee they wouldn't have found Rick Barnes, and they love Rick Barnes. So
sure.
I mean, he got in trouble, cut and dry. He got in trouble, and that's it. But Tennessee went through Donnie Tyndall, Conzo Martin, and then they got Rick Barnes. And so I don't think any Tennessee fan would trade Rick Barnes for Bruce Pearl. It's not a knock on Bruce.
Yeah.
But Rick is their guy. He's taken him to unprecedented heights and everything else. I just think Rick is Tennessee's guy now. But I think it's the Bruce thing is like, why did you do it, man? Why did you lie? And then
I know.
Now they've moved on. But good. I mean, he's done great at Auburn so far.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, he's got a team that I mean, obviously we know anything can happen in the NCAA tournament, but he's got a team now that's capable of winning the national championship. So, so do a lot of teams, and a lot of those teams are coming out of the SEC. But UConn's still good. They're not going anywhere. I know Duke had a hiccup the other day, but they're still good. I mean, there's a lot. It's going to be a fun tournament. I know that much.
It's going to start here, baby.
So now we begin officially our talking about what the Titans are going to do at number 1 overall for the next 4 months or whatever it is. So that'll be fun, and there's going to be a lot of speculation. So we'll get into some of that throughout the show. But I've been chomping at the bit because you text this morning and you said you have to trust me, and I do trust you.
Right.
Our question of the day.
It is what ties into today, and I just tweeted it out too, and I do this every February the 11th, is that on this day, 1984, our question is going to be off of this, but this day on February 11th, 1984, the greatest concert that ever happened in Nashville, Tennessee took place tonight. Van Halen played Municipal Auditorium. The damn place only seats 9,000, but I'm telling you, there were 500,000 people there with all the stories we're told. So it's a good topic. It's a rainy day to try to get nostalgia for a little bit for this concert. And the question is, what's the best concert you've ever been to in your entire life? It's fun to listen to people who've been to different shows and what they think the greatest concert is. But Van Halen with David Lee Roth on this day in 1984 came to Nashville. I think the tickets were $12.50. They were the biggest band in the world, not in Nashville or in North America, but the world. They had the number 1 album, number 1 video on MTV. They were massively huge. So how often does the biggest band in the world come into your backyard and you get to go, and tickets are $12.50? I mean, it was amazing, amazing moment. And I repost this every year on my socials, and I love so many people like, I was there. I wish I would have gone. My dad went there and everything. It was just a great story, a great moment in Nashville history on this day, February 11th, 1984. But that's, in my opinion, the greatest concert that's ever happened, ever taken place in Nashville. And so I was just curious what other people, because I like talking to the people about their genres and what they've been to and what they thought was great and what you thought the greatest concert was. So I'll ask you two boneheads. Chase, what's the greatest concert you ever went to?
Several. Probably Paul McCartney. I mean, Paul McCartney was awesome. And the fact that he doesn't take a drink of anything throughout his set is pretty amazing.
Really?
Yeah. That's like a thing about him. Yeah, he was good. He was really, really good. I saw him probably 12 years ago, something like that.
God, has it been that long?
Yeah. At Bridgestone Arena. Garth is just a heck of an entertainer.
But I need one that shocked. I mean, that you're still like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's McCartney.
Paul. Dr. Crane, you got one, buddy? Shakira?
Yes, I was not Shakira. I wish. It was Luke Combs, I think last year in March or April.
Okay.
At Nissan Stadium. He does like those Friday shows, that are like very cheap. So I bought like a $75 ticket in club level. And it was funny. I had to do the morning shift on Saturday the following morning. And I think I went to bed at like 3.
That.
No, it was fine. It was actually one of the more memorable moments of, producing on the weekends and also just trying to have a good time. And I remember Friday I went out and it was like, I don't know, a little rainy, a little damp. And then it ended up stopping. And I went to the concert. I think like Bailey Zimmerman was there, Luke Combs. They even did their own rendition of Diamond Rio, Meet Me in the Middle. And it was pretty cool. So with all that, I ended the night around 3 o'clock, went to bed for about 30 minutes to an hour, and woke up and went to work around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Attaboy. That's getting it done.
It was fun.
That's what we call getting it done, right, JoJo?
To be young again. Good for you. Yeah. But I mean, it's a moment you'll remember forever, and you had friends with you. And that's the thing, man. It just, these concerts transcend time, and it's a feeling in a moment, and you're with friends, and some have long passed and all that. And it's just, I don't know, when you think about it, like you with McCartney and you with Luke Combs, it makes you feel good. I mean, it's like, oh man, that you actually did live, that you did live in a moment that was amazing. And so that's just, that's my moment.
I have to address a texter on the text line, and based on his text history, I'm not really surprised by this statement, but I'm going to read it anyway. Matt Q said Jimmy Buffett sucked, period. Matt, get out of here with that.
It's fine. That's fine. If you've got a text in that somebody sucks, then I feel sorry for you, man.
Yeah, I just,
you're not going to rain on my parade, man.
No.
Today's a good day.
No. Please play Jimmy Buffett for the rest of the show, just for Matt.
You got it. I also have one more honorable mention. I went to the Exit Inn to see a buddy of mine perform with one of his, I guess country music friends that he performs with. But there was the opening act. Her name was Taylor Austin Dye. And I don't know what it is about the Exit
I
In,
thought
but
you were going to say Taylor Swift.
no, oh goodness gracious. But no, her name is Taylor Austin Dye, and her music is just different. And it's like a cool country music style different. And I don't know if it's the Exit In that made the atmosphere cool, whatever it is, but the acoustics, everything just so immersed into just like a I don't know, like family friend environment. It was super cool.
That's the best concert you've ever been to.
No,
besides
I'm
Luke
just,
Combs.
I said it's an honorable mention,
no,
Joe.
no honorable mentions, man. I need
No, Luke
number
Combs.
Hey,
one.
if
Luke
he
Combs
wants to
hits it.
honorably mention something, then he can do that. Don't rain on his parade.
I'm just saying, Exit In is a solid venue,
Exit In's awesome.
undervalued.
It is.
I mean, the stories, like, I just, you want to get on my soapbox. I mean, like, I'm all about Nashville growing, but here's the problem I have. When you close places and then you don't do anything with them, like the Rock Block, like Gold Rush closed, Rotiers closed, like Rock Block Guitars, I think is gone. Like all that stuff went away. And like, what have they done with that area? And they've tried to close Exit In like a bunch of times. It's just like that's a section of Nashville that needs to be left alone.
I totally agree. And some of these iconic venues need to be left alone. And there are others that come along, and like used to be a place called Sal's Rock Block that was down there that's now gone. But so one night I went there and saw a White Lion. I saw a great
White Lion.
it was a great show. I
Yes.
mean, it was like 1987, 88. I mean, those are great shows that came there, and it was a iconic venue. And I get it. I get why they're no longer here, but I don't have to like it. I understand it,
Sure.
but I don't have to like it.
Sure. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're up and running here on a Tuesday. Our question of the day, the best concert that you have ever been to. We'll get some of those answers coming up next. Plus, what will the Titans do at quarterback? There's a former quarterback that has some ideas, and he talked to Jared last week at the Super Bowl. We'll discuss that and much more here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Tuesday. Our question of the day: what's the best concert you have ever been to? I've been to a few Jimmy Buffett concerts that were pretty darn good. You say Van Halen in 84?
On this day, February 11th, 1984, Municipal Auditorium.
So is that the tour for the album 1984, or had it?
It is.
Okay.
Yep. And they played Knoxville the night before and came to Nashville. And I'm telling you, man, the biggest band in the world. I mean, how often do you get the chance for that to happen? And it was just an amazing time with so many people. Autograph opened for Van Halen. They got through half a song before they got booed. And the greatest moment of that night before Van Halen got the stage is that a friend of mine flipped a pizza cardboard box, the top of it, like a Frisbee at the band. And we were in the upper deck, and it basically toured. And there are hundreds of witnesses for this. It kind of toured the entire Municipal Auditorium. At the last second, it took straight off to the stadium and hit the guitar player in the head.
Good job.
And they walked off. They were done. I mean, everybody was, but it felt, I mean, it's Autograph, turn up the radio. They were okay, but nobody came to see them. And it was just an amazing moment. So 41 years ago tonight.
Well, we have a ton of answers, but of course now my computer in the text line wants to freeze up on me, so I can't read any of them. I don't know if you have it pulled up.
The JoJo's up right here.
All right, you got it.
2097 says, my favorite show was Rush when I saw them. Well done. 1430 Red Hot Chili Peppers, Austin, Texas. 1258 Lenny Kravitz at Starwood. And
I bet that was good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's a tiny guy too, man. Really, Pink Floyd, 1994 at Vanderbilt Stadium. I remember that, but I don't remember that.
Vanderbilt Stadium used to get a ton of shows.
They got U2 in 2011 when they came in there.
Rolling Stone, they melt the turf.
They did. They got a brand new turf that they put in. Lenny, Rolling Stones, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, July 4th, 2015. 20 feet from the stage. Mick was electric, and I danced the entire show.
I was at that show. At Indianapolis. My only time I've been to Indianapolis Motor Speedway was that show.
You're just now telling us this?
I guess.
6240 Ronnie James Dio Sacred Heart Tour, Nashville, 1985. God, I bet that was loud and all there. So just keep them coming. 615-737-1025.
Ronnie James Dio.
He's no longer.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He is no longer with us. So keep them coming here. It's always fun on a gloomy day to talk about things in the past that made us happy, based off that Van Halen concert. All right, Chase, you have something.
Yes. So last week, Jared had a ton of great guests on Radio Row in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, and one of them that I was really interested in him talking to is Rich Gannon, of course, the former quarterback of the Raiders, a former NFL MVP, played in a Super Bowl, beat the Titans in the AFC Championship game back in 2002 when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. And so he talked to Rich Gannon and kind of asked his opinion on what to do at quarterback. And I want to see what you think about what Rich had to say about the Titan situation.
I think it's an easy decision for me because I don't have time. Just given the current climate of the NFL and how we fire coaches every year, we fired 10 coaches in the first year in the last 10 years.
Yeah, Brian almost didn't make it out of this.
So so if I'm that guy, do I really want to draft a young quarterback that I'm not quite sure about? Okay. And roll for 24 months and lose a lot of games and go through the turmoil and the struggles and the adversity and maybe lose my job? Or am I going to bring in somebody who's already been through that, who's already been through the fires and who's a little bit more refined, a little bit more prepared, a little bit more ready? So to me, it's either Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones. Out of the guys you gave me, that's my choices. Make a decision. It's one or the other. That's it. So I'm not going down. Mac Jones doesn't work for me. Justin Fields doesn't work for me. It ain't going to work for Brian Callahan or Bill either. It's between those two guys. There's your answer.
So what do you think about that? That's Rich Gannon of what the Titans should do at quarterback.
I absolutely love it. Why put your future in a guy who's never played a down in the National Football League? Find the bridge, win games, get confidence, build around that, and go. Perfectly said. That is perfectly said by Rich Gannon.
So do you think, here's what's interesting, and I guess Rich Gannon's probably a case study on this too, that you got, we saw this resurgence of Sam Darnold this past year. Now, he had to go through the turmoil with the Jets. He goes to Carolina. Then he goes and he's a backup for a year in San Francisco in Shanahan's system And then we saw what he did this year with Minnesota. And I believe that, he was in the right system, which was, basically the Shanahan system, and had the right coach. Now, and we've seen other examples of these quarterbacks that, weren't very good to start because they were probably rushed into it, and then they have a resurgence. Is Daniel Jones going to be one of those guys? I mean, Daniel Jones had a pretty good year, good enough to get him a contract that, the Giants then 2 years later got out of. So I kind of feel like we're seeing this trend in the NFL. I don't like it. It worries me. I mean, are you, because you're definitely taking a flyer, even though this guy has experience. But if the Titans sign Daniel Jones, you're going to have one group that's like, okay, let's see what Brian Callahan can do. The other group that's going to be like, did you not watch him with the Giants?
That's the problem. You've seen, he won a playoff game.
Sure.
And looked great doing that into the 22 season, and then looked terrible last year. Of course, he had Saquon was gone, but
yeah.
I think Titans fans would revolt if you got Daniel Jones, because all you're going to do is remember how bad he was. That's it. That's all you remember for that. I know Sam Darnold, you're going to pay him $30 million a year I don't know.
No.
With that, plus Sam Darnold had a pretty good offensive line, decent running game, best receiver in football, pretty good tight end. I mean, there are a lot of pieces around him. He doesn't have that here. So I wouldn't drop $30 million on Sam Darnold when you don't have those pieces around here. I'd find somebody a little bit lower cost like that, and maybe it is a Daniel Jones. I don't.
Okay,
I don't know. It's tough, man.
I'm going to name off quarterbacks. Just say yes or no, and yet if you would be interested or not. Daniel Jones,
yes.
Sam Darnold,
no.
Kirk Cousins,
no.
Mac Jones,
yes.
Matt Stafford,
yes.
Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
Okay. So only one of those, really, one or two, you said no to. I mean, that's where the Titans are at. Like, you can't be picky. And the quarterback, I mean, we've said it enough that the quarterback class this year is very meh. And the top two, there could be, you have some that are like, well, Shedeur Sanders, there's some upside there, but maybe it's more the floor, and then Cam Ward, the ceiling's a little higher and all that stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, you're kind of, it's really a toss up any way you go.
No, it is. And I'm with you in all this. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, maybe in my crazy, weird world, he wants a chance to go out, a little redemption. Like, I don't want to end it like I did with the Jets. Give me 2 years in Nashville, see what I can do. I already got Calvin Ridley, it's a pretty good receiver, get a few other pieces right in there and see what you can do. I'm fine with it. At least I'd be interested in watching the games.
Yeah.
And you got a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl, who's still got a pretty damn good arm. He's hit 40. You don't immediately, when you hit the calendar, hits 40, like, all right, I'm done. You're terrible. It doesn't happen that way anymore. These guys are fit. They're in shape. They're strong. Everything. I would bring him in. I don't see the problem of bringing him in and let him try to breed that quote unquote bridge guy. No, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers.
I'll take Matthew Stafford in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, look, Stafford's 37. I would definitely take him. I mean, Rodgers, I wouldn't say no, but you also have to understand what you're going to get with him.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to get a bit of a headache with him. That's just that's him. Now, maybe this Jets situation has humbled him a little bit, but I mean, if I know, this is what I know. If I know I'm going to get Aaron Rodgers, that he doesn't even have to be peak Aaron Rodgers, but give me Aaron Rodgers, from 2 years ago when he left the Packers. He's not even the MVP. You give me him, and that, you can say to him like, hey, we're not going to bring all your buddies. Now, if Devontae Adams wants to come with you, we'll talk about that. But, you're not going to get Lazard and, all these people with you, but you get him and maybe Devontae, and you put him in the system with Brian Callahan. You got Calvin Ridley. You got a good run game. You have to fix the offensive line. And then you got to draft a receiver, even if you do bring in somebody like Devontae Adams. Okay. I'm intrigued by that. It's not the long-term fix, but it's a Band-Aid right now that might be a pretty good Band-Aid.
Like, I'm all for it.
That's a big if.
I'm not a Darnold fan because I just saw, when you get all the pieces around you, yeah, you're going to be great. But Aaron Rodgers could come here and maybe maybe you get inspired as Aaron Rodgers. You come in here and he says all the right things and does all the right things, and it's better than you possibly imagine. Remember, all you got to do is be better than 3 other teams. That's it. That's it. It's all you got to do. You're already probably better than the Jags, and you're probably even with the Colts and get better than the Texans and win that. I think Aaron Rodgers helps you. And look, people are like, well, I'm not spending that money. It's not your money. It's not
Sure.
your money. So bring him in here. Let's have some fun. My gosh, let's have some fun with this guy and see what he can do. You never know. It might turn out far better than we ever imagined. We won't know until we get on the train.
615-737-1025 7701. Johnny from Mount Juliet says, ideally, they will trade back and get more draft capital while getting important pieces that we'll need regardless of the quarterback. But as a Titans fan who lives in perpetual frustration with the decisions that are or are not made by this organization, I'm expecting them to screw this up and would rather than draft a quarterback and then go into a season without the answer at that position. That brings us to something that I heard Paul Kuharsky throw out there this morning on, potential, and we're in what if season, right? What if the Titans do trade back from number 1 overall? We'll discuss that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe on this Tuesday. Also, we'll get back to our question of the day, the best concert you have ever been to. We're presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. And also tune in tonight as Vandy men's basketball takes on the number 1 team in the land, the Auburn Tigers, at Memorial Gym, with a 6:00 tip. Pregame coverage starting at 5:30. Vanderbilt men's basketball is presented by Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, coming to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium now through March 2nd. Go to auprobasketball.com for more details and to purchase tickets.
First of all, it is early in the process. Tennessee Titans have basically a new front office with Mike Borgonzi, the general manager, still going through the process of learning each other and figuring out where they want to go. But my understanding is they are open to trading the number 1 overall pick, which if that is true, they are going to get offers. It is a year where, first of all, it doesn't feel like there's right now or there's going to be a consensus on the quarterback. Some people really like him. Some people like him in a certain system. Some people not as much. Because it's all over the map, you're going to get teams who really, really want to trade up, and other teams are like, I hope everyone trades up so I can get a great pass rusher or a great corner/receiver or whatever it ends up being. We also don't know the Tennessee Titans, who also do need a quarterback. What do they think of the top guys? Is Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders someone they believe to be their franchise quarterback? If it is, then there's no point in having this conversation. If they aren't sure, then this is what we're going to be talking about for the next 4 months. Going to be fascinating to get to Indianapolis, see where all this lands, see everyone in person, and really begin the process of figuring out where the Titans go from here.
That was Ian Rappaport earlier on the NFL Network. I think it was yesterday that he was on the NFL Network. Is now the speculation on what the Titans will do at number 1 overall. 615-737-1025. It's Chase and Big Joe. And we're going to basically have 3.5 months of this until they actually make a move. Now, I have been saying it, and I think you've kind of been saying it too, Joe, of if you get the right dance partner, go ahead and move back. Get more draft picks. They need draft capital. They need to build through the draft. And Mike Borgonzi said it. Chad Brinker said it, that they want to have, top 100 picks because that's the best opportunity to build through the draft. And so there's all these different draft simulators and all these things that you can do to see what the Titans have available and could do. And so you're going to have a ton of that between now and the actual draft.
No, I think you have the number 1 pick. You have the ace. I mean, you've got it now. What are you going to give me for it? And then I'm telling you, you go back and watch these teams, and Borgonzi was part of this. You build the team probably 80% through the draft. I mean, that's you build that team, and now gobble up draft choices. Get the bridge quarterback for 2 years. Gobble up draft choices, build the foundation, and then go find your quarterback. I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty cut and dry now what you need to do. John Robinson did it 9 years ago. He knew the value with that number 1 pick held. Trade out of it, get draft choices, and build. You got to. But the key, the quarterback, but again, find a team that's willing to give up the farm, and some will, because they always do. And you'll find that. And then build, and it's good to go. I think the Titans now are in a great position. Now that you've put aside Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward and not worried about that nonsense, get the bridge quarterback, gobble up draft choices, and go from there. I think if you're not on board with that, then I don't know where you stand.
So speaking of giving up the farm, Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com, of course, who's been in for Robbie Stanley this week on Robbie and Rex Road, he and Joe discussed that this morning in this potential draft scenario.
To Pro Football Network's mock draft simulator. And I had written about this previously, which you could read at paulkuharsky.com, like how accurate are these trades? How realistic are the trades that they offer you, and broke that down. So you can read that separately. But I went here and offered a trade to the Rams to go from 1 to 26. Huge.
That's
huge jump.
Remind me real fast when Jeff Fisher traded with John Robinson, that was
they went to 16.
16.
And then they went back up to 8.
But yeah, initially 16. So this is
John Robinson.
10 spots more than that. And that was a haul.
That was a haul. So I got number 26, number 90, number 100 this year, and the Rams' first round pick, second round pick, and fifth round pick next year.
So by my count, that is an addition of 4 top 100 picks.
Correct.
That's 4 more than you would have had.
And a first and a second next year. I mean, that's a pretty damn big haul. And with 26, you and I talked through it in the break, and we settled on Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. And at 35, I still got Trey Harris, a wide receiver from Ole Miss. Then I stopped paying attention and just let it fill in. So Shamar Stewart and Trey Harris with the first 2 picks,
SEC baby.
plus all of this draft bounty. I mean, I don't think it's a preposterous thing to consider. Now,
No.
we have no idea if the Rams, if this is part of what the Rams are thinking as this stuff about potentially moving on from Matthew Stafford comes in. Now, if the Titans are getting Matthew Stafford as part of this deal, changes obviously the calculus of the whole thing.
Boy, he'd be mad about that.
All right. So that was this morning in their conversation. And there's a couple of different parts that, to kind of break it down. Moving from 1 to 26, I listened to that haul. It's a pretty good haul, but I almost kind of wonder if you could get more.
Really?
I mean, look, I'm not gonna complain with that haul, but it's 1. It's 1, and you're moving to 26. So I mean, you're still getting, you're moving back to 26. You're getting 2 picks in the top 100 this year. Their first and their second next year. So I mean, that's pretty darn good. I'll give you that.
And you're not getting Stafford, right? This is straight
And you're
up.
not getting Stafford. Now, that's the second part of this, that if I'm gonna do it, then, and I'm willing to, not take as much draft capital. If I'm going to do it, then Stafford, is probably a part of the package. Now, I'm still getting a first round pick. Like, I don't think he's worth a first. So, I still want their first round pick this year, next year coming back, but I'd be willing to talk about what a package would look like for Stafford.
Yes, I think Stafford still got plenty in the tank. I mean, that guy got the hell beat out of him in Detroit, and he's still standing. I think he's a smart, fantastic quarterback, would be great, and I'm on board with that. If you could gobble up and get all those draft choices and get your bridge quarterback and still have a first-round choice and then get their choice next year, I think it's great. I mean, look, you got to start somewhere, and drafting a quarterback at number 1 ain't going to do it. It's just not going to happen. You don't have the pieces in place to get it done. So again, trade out of that, gobble things up, and go forward with all this. They know what they're going to do. Build through the draft. Don't draft injured players. It's not hard.
So Jeff on Twitter has said Raiders will pay for Sanders, get as many picks as possible, trade Simmons for picks also, tear it completely down. By the time this team is good again, Simmons will be on the downside of his career. We've talked about that. I don't think that's preposterous. And if you can talk Vrabel and the Patriots into taking Simmons, now they're not going to give you the 4th overall pick for him, but if you can get
Something.
a second,
Yep.
Or something like that, for Simmons, I'm willing to listen to it. I kind of agree that, they're not going to fix this thing in a year. Now, I know there are, everybody's going to look at Washington and go, well, Washington kind of did it. They got lucky because they hit on the quarterback. I don't think, unless you get a really, really good bridge guy and you fix that offensive line, I don't think the Titans are going to be as lucky. I just don't, because everything they're saying is they're going to do this the right way and rebuild through the draft.
Would you take a 4th round from the Patriots for Jeffrey Simmons?
Straight up.
Paul Abdul, baby.
No.
Okay.
No.
I would, and I'd help him pack.
I would think about a 3rd, but nah, you need a higher. I think you need a higher pick than that.
All right, for a 3rd, would you go straight up?
I'd consider it.
You'd consider it.
Don't
play hardball with me, pal. I know where you live.
I mean, the contract, I don't know, man. Yeah, I would do it.
Okay.
Reluctantly, but I would do it.
Again, what if you go? If you come out like Paul was talking about, all these draft choices this team gets, you could replenish a lot of things. And if you hit on half of them,
here's the thing.
Good.
Here's the thing, though, and you might push back on this. Jared and I were talking about this last week, and I brought up the, try and get Vrabel to take Simmons. You trade Simmons. And he was like, well, look, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but then guess what you're going to do? You're going to turn around and you're going to go, even though Simmons has not been the player, he's not lived up to the contract, you're still going to turn around and go try and find a player like Jeffrey Simmons. So that's where you kind of have to ask yourself, what's it worth to let him go? I know he's not the all-star, but he's still pretty good. Like he's not a bad player by any means. So
Is he worth $19 million to do that?
no,
Yeah.
but again, you have to also kind of sit there and look yourself in the mirror if you're the Titans and decide, what are we going to be? Like, are we good with rebuild and being bad? Which is probably the answer. That is the answer. There's no probably. That is the answer. But you have to come to terms with that. And they haven't been willing to come to terms with that. And so if you're coming to terms with, we're going to be bad, this is going to take a while, and but you tell Amy and everybody's on board with that. And it's like, look, we have to stick to the plan. If everybody's on that page, then yeah, you trade him, because then you're basically just saying we're going to go find his replacement that's younger, but we're going to suck until we do. And that goes for a bunch of different positions.
I mean, we know what we'd like to do, but what they're going to do is going to be far different than anything that we've thrown out there. So I do think you need to trade the first pick. I do think you need to get a bridge quarterback, and then you build from there. And I think you go after maybe one, maybe two guys in free agency, big time, and then you just shut your mouth and then go, because you were a disaster last year signing those guys who didn't play, injured, or whatever happened to them. I would just shut your mouth and now build through the draft.
Okay.
Just go.
There's something that has now popped up on the text line that I heard on Jared's show yesterday. I know we have a call that Dr. Crane can play, and I do not understand it. I know where it's coming from, but I don't understand it. We will talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Tuesday. We're going to feed you here before we get out of this hour. So be listening for your chance to win some food to Salsaritas. Going to be good. Taking your calls, taking your texts, talking about the Titans and the what they need to do with the number 1 overall pick. And a couple of different things before we play this clip. Mike in Lebanon says, I don't want to make any deals that would help the Patriots. I understand that, but you have to worry about yourself. You can't worry about what it does for other teams. If you, as an organization, meaning Borgonzi and Brinker, and then you throw Callahan in there too, are making these moves, they have to be, they can't worry about what it's going to do for the Patriots. You can't worry about sending Jeffrey Simmons to New England and think he's going to just, hurt you. And he might. I mean, Titans fans are still recovering from A.J. Brown. I get it. But if it helps the Tennessee Titans, then you got to make the move. And you can't worry about what it does for other teams. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I agree. I mean, when you trade somebody, good riddance, goodbye. They're not doing you any value, so who cares what they do on another team? I mean, are you mad A.J. Brown scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl? You couldn't control that. Yeah, it hurts a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's over and done and moved on.
I wasn't mad he scored a touchdown.
I'm sure.
I wasn't mad DeAndre Hopkins scored a touchdown either, but for other reasons. Anyway, this was a call yesterday on Stillman and Company. We even just got a text about this. Tell me what you think of this.
Figure out why we want to spend half of our cap on anyone to be mediocre. And if we're building a team, if we want to trade back and we want to, and maybe you can spend some time on this on another day. You don't have to answer it today, maybe, but I'm just saying, I don't get the bridge quarterback. I don't get spending 20, 30 million on a quarterback to get 7 or 8 wins.
Well, a bridge quarterback is not a
me.
$20 or $30 million proposition. Like Jacoby Brissett is a bridge quarterback. That's an $8 million signing. Who are you talking about that's $20 or $30 million as a bridge quarterback?
I'm hearing the Aaron Rodgers thing, just hearing Aaron Rodgers coming, and that would be like, to me, it'd be a nightmare because I think at worst, you're going to get 3-4 wins. You could get 7-8 wins. And I wouldn't mind if they maybe traded back with New England and try to get Milton in. That might be something to do, but
you want Joe Milton to play quarterback for the Titans.
I mean, look, if you swap picks and get something for it, maybe. I mean,
so hold on. So you would trade. So hold on. Bradley, I want to make sure I hear this clearly.
Yeah.
So you want to trade from number 1 to number 4 and get Joe Milton in return.
And something else. Well, maybe a third to replace the third that we don't have. I would say that maybe that might be something. And that there's a.
So I'm going to stop you there, Nick. If you could,
ahead.
and I appreciate your call, Bradley, for Joe Milton and a third. That is wild.
Okay, so that is wild. Wes in Clarksville texts in and says trade Simmons for a 4th round pick and Joe Milton. What am I missing? What is this obsession with Joe Milton? He's not that good. He's got a rocket arm. He can throw it to the moon. But if you lined up, 18 beer cans, he couldn't hit one of them. What are we talking about? I mean, yeah, look, he can throw it. He's got a cannon. But half the time he's gonna be looking for Calvin Ridley, and it's gonna end up in the 4th row
or in the river, right?
Yeah, or in the river. So, I don't understand this obsession with Joe. I mean, it's Vols fans, I get it, but come on, Joe Milton is not a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
No, he's not. No, that's great. You can win all day long, but you talk about winning 3 games, you might not even get that. He's just not. If he was that good, he'd be starting for the Patriots right now, and he's not. Right. So that's it. I love people sometimes, man.
I couldn't resist. Coming up next, really excited to talk to our next guest. Rick Stockstill was the longtime head coach at MTSU. He coached Reed Blankenship, who just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. We'll get his thoughts on that and just catch up with Coach Stock. We'll do that next. But first, we're going to give away some food. Are you hungry, Joe? You're
always, yeah.
Yeah, me too. The first 2 callers, Dr. Crane, will give away yesterday's and today's. The first 2 callers will win a catering voucher from Salsaritas Fresh Mexican Grill, located at 2515 West End Avenue in the heart of Vandy country. They came to our station last week. It's excellent. We had it. It's so good. And you will get a catered meal that will feed up to 10 people, authentic Mexican flavors, dine in, pick up, delivery, and catering. Just go to salsaritas.com. The first 2 callers will win a catering voucher from Salsaritas Fresh Mexican Grill. 615-737-1025. Rick Stockstill next. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game here on this Tuesday as we discuss a lot of football. It was a fun game if you're an Eagles fan the other night as the Eagles defeated the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. One member of that team, Reed Blankenship, who of course played college ball just down the road in Murfreesboro at MTSU. And we say hello to one of our favorite people on the planet, the longtime coach at MTSU, Coach Reed Blankenship there, Rick Stockstill, who is with us. Coach, how the heck are you?
I'm good, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
We're doing good. It's so good to talk to you. And I know you had to be over the moon watching Reed celebrate the other night.
Yeah, I'm just, we texted throughout the season and then obviously the playoffs and up to the Super Bowl and, just really proud of him and happy for him and just, and you guys know, just childhood dream come true. You always dream of one getting to the NFL, and then there's so many great players that never get an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, and he's been there twice in his first 3 years, and now to win it, just really, really, you don't want to say satisfied for him, but just really, happy for him because how hard he worked to get there to have that opportunity. So yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Well, and Coach, you mentioned having to work hard. I mean, it will not only work hard to get to the NFL, but I mean, he had to work hard for you, obviously. What were some things that you noticed early on about him that kind of made you think, hey, this kid's got something special?
He wasn't a, really highly recruited kid coming out of high school, towards the end of right before signing day, the last couple of weeks, it started picking up for him, but he was, when he got to us, he became what we thought he could become. But when he got with us, he was very mature. He had a great work ethic. And I've said this several times about, a lot of people, but, he was goal oriented. He practiced, prepared, like a pro, in everything he did on and off the field. He went through some adversity, with the injury that he had there when we played North Texas. And he came back from that and he was a dedicated young man to be great in everything that he did. And you saw that very early, in his career. And, he accepted coaching. He took coaching. He, he gave everything he had every day, not only to that program, but to himself in developing his skill, continuing to develop his skill set.
We're talking to Rick Stockstill on the Chase and Big Joe show. Coach, always good to talk to you. And I don't think people understand, Coach, and you know this very well, just how hard it is to walk on in the National Football League and then become a Super Bowl champion. It's like he had to earn every single inch of everything he's gotten in the NFL because he wasn't drafted.
Yeah, it's he'll have a great story to tell whenever he hangs it up. But you look at it, Charvarius Ward was the same way, and he's got a couple Super Bowl rings and one of the top corners in the NFL. And there's so many of those other guys, also from Benny Cunningham to others. But when you're a free agent, it's you gotta show them something very early in camp. And you can't have a bad day because, the money investment that they have in you is like peanuts. So, again, it's just another example of what type of person Reed is and, how hard he's worked and everything he's done to get to that stage.
And you talk about the message. I've heard you talk about this before about just, in Reed's an example, and other guys are examples too as well that didn't win Super Bowls, but guys that walked on for you. I mean, the kind of the same thing is they never quit. I mean, they might have been on your squad for 3 years and fight, but never quit. And then they get the opportunity. And so that's why I love the game of football, because if you don't quit, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, but that's life. And, you're going to get knocked down every day. And, you just got to keep picking yourself up, whether you're, a scholarship kid, a walk-on kid, a first-round draft pick, or a free agent. You gotta show up and work every day. And the ones that do that are the ones that are going to be successful, not only – I ain't telling y'all nothing, but they're going to be the ones that, that are going to be successful in life.
Coach Rick Stockstill is with us. When you look at all the guys that came out of your program during your time at Middle that made it to the NFL, I mean, obviously I know like Kevin Byard obviously was one that really stood out. That was good for recruiting, good to like, hey, it's good for our program. But how special was it for you? Is kind of that father figure, that coach that, you saw these guys live out this dream, and some like Reed and like Kevin are still living out the dream.
Yeah. I mean, and I say this, I've said it before and I'll say it again with no disrespect to anybody, but there's not many players, that Reed didn't dream. He didn't dream of going to Middle Tennessee. Kevin Byard didn't grow up dreaming of going to Middle Tennessee. Benny, those guys didn't grow up, dreaming to go to school there, but they got an opportunity to go to Middle Tennessee. And, we coached them, and, I tried to, advise them and how to be a pro and what it takes to be successful in life. And then when those guys, you see the elation and the tears in their eyes, when they graduate or when they make it, when they get drafted or they sign with a team or they play in the Super Bowl, it's just I got a guy that called me yesterday, he went in the portal last year from Middle, and he's, called me and said, I'm going to graduate from, this spring with honors, and he said, I just wanted to let you know and thank you, so those kind of moments, it's why we get into coaching, and to try to impact young people and try to help them reach all their goals.
Rick Stockstill is with us. So speaking of, what are you up to these days? I know the last time we talked to you, you were, helping out, doing some things at Florida State. What have you been up to since leaving Middle?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm an offensive analyst down here, and, I get to coach a little bit, not obviously not as much as I would like. I still have the desire and the passion to coach. I want to try, to get back on the field, 100% of the time. But, so I got my fingers crossed, hopeful that I'll get another opportunity, whether as a position coach somewhere or as a head coach. But I know I still love the game, and I've got a lot more to give to this game and try to help, young people. So, but, I'm here at Florida State, and, my alma mater and all that kind of stuff. And I just love being around people, young people, and trying to help them as any way I can here.
I love it that you're still there, because your former head coach, Bobby Bowden, they asked one time about retiring. He said, what the hell am I going to do? I don't golf. I don't really like to fish. I like to coach football. So, I mean, coach until you don't coach anymore, right?
Yeah, that's me there, because, I definitely don't like to fish. And I'll play golf when I have to, but no, that's I'm a lifer. This is my passion. This is my joy, and I'm gonna do it as long as somebody will give me an opportunity to do it.
That's good. It's taking a step back, being head coach, and now with all the portal that's going through, does it give you? Do you have a different view when you're not having to deal, as a head coach in the portal? Now that you've kind of taken a step back, do you see things a little differently now? How that all works?
I don't think differently, Joe. I think the thing that's most shocking to me, and obviously Florida State's a lot different than Middle Tennessee State, but just the amount of money that these guys are getting in the portal and NIL stuff. That's the thing that, I told Pete when I got here, we were talking about, I said, yeah, I had two guys make 500. They said, you had two guys make 500,000? I said, no, I had two guys total on the team make $500. We had $1,000. And I said, that's why it's hard to keep people when they can come. I mean, we're paying guys tons of money to be a backup, and so that's the biggest thing that's been an eye opener for me, is just the amount of money that these guys are getting now.
No doubt. And Chase and I had a topic a few weeks ago about, had the NIL been around 40, 50 years ago, how much would guys would have made? You played one of the greatest collegiate linebackers of all time in Ron Simmons. I mean, there's no telling what he would have made back in the day.
Oh, it's amazing, guy. I mean, it's amazing. It's hard to describe it, but just you ought to see our parking lot. I mean, good golly, and I'm happy for the players. I really am. I'm glad, they're getting it. I just, hope it doesn't. I hope they don't lose their edge. And I'm not talking about Florida State. I'm talking about everybody in college football. I hope the money doesn't cause them to lose their edge, because this is year-changing money. It's not life-changing money, and sometimes they have a hard time realizing that.
Rick Stockstill is with us. Coach, it's absolutely a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm glad everything is going well, and we definitely will do this down the road. But thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, like I've said a million times, I'm here anytime you guys need anything, and I got so much appreciation and respect for you. So holler anytime you need anything.
Absolutely. It goes both ways. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Coach
Thanks,
Rick.
Joe.
Yes, sir.
Coach Rick Stockstill joining us here on the show. Now an offensive analyst down at Florida State, and of course spent a long time here in Middle Tennessee at MTSU. Really good to catch up with him. We'll, it's just anytime we talk to a coach and we're talking portal and NIL and those things, I mean, it just kind of makes you appreciate how the old days were. It's a necessary, maybe a necessary evil, but that's just kind of what it is nowadays.
Well, look, this is no lie. When I pulled in at Sanford, my muffler fell off my car. It's a true story. So I pulled in a 310 GX Datsun with no muffler, and I was like, we all laughed. It's good. But now, and I don't begrudge the guys. Good for them. Good for all of them. They're pulling in Corvettes and everything else, tricked out trucks. Good for them. And that's just the way things are happening. But he made a good point. I want to bring it up when we come back. He made a good point there at the end, and I want to talk about that.
We will do that coming up next. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. It's Chasing Big Joe on a Tuesday, 1025, 1063 The Game. Well, Van Halen bringing us back. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game on this Tuesday. Our question of the day, which we'll get back into. Greatest concert you've ever been to. It was stemmed off Joe's favorite concert was 1984.
41 years ago tonight, Van Halen took the stage at Municipal Auditorium. It was the greatest concert ever to happen in Nashville, ever, with everything that was going on with MTV, Van Halen, number one band in the world, number one album with 1984. It'll never be replicated. I'm sad, you know, I know you have Paul McCartney and Dr. Crane love Luke Combs.
Well,
and that's fine. Those are specialty. Those are great. But I'm telling you, man, at that moment, Van Halen was number one in the world.
I don't live with regrets. Like I try not to have any regrets in life, but you know, I wish that I'd gotten to see Van Halen. I never did. You know, they were obviously past their prime, and they did kind of a reunion tour with David Lee Roth, but he didn't have a voice left. And so I didn't go. And that was one of those dumb decisions. Like, you know, somebody was like, yeah, he can't sing anymore. You won't like him. You shouldn't go. And I just wish I'd gone. But that's a band that would be at the top of my list that I wish I could have seen, you know, whether it was, you know, and I've seen Sammy Hagar a few times, including most recently, which was kind of the closest that I think I'm going to get to seeing Van Halen, because they played a lot of Van Halen. But I wish I'd seen Eddie.
Yeah, I saw him one time. It was amazing. But yeah, that was cool. All right, I want to react. And again, you can weigh in on your favorite concert on the line, 615-737-1025. We'd love to hear from you on your favorite concert of all time. Something that Coach Doxel said there at the end, which we've talked about, Chase, is that he said, I hope these guys don't lose their edge.
Yeah.
And my God, I mean, that is so telling. That it's pretty powerful what he said, because what is Carson Beck's motivation? He's making $4 million at Miami. He's making more than, I think it is, 9 starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. What I hope you find, but what is your motivation?
Yeah. Well, look, I think for some of these guys, and Carson Beck's probably a prime example, the motivation is the car, the girl, the money. I mean, you know, he might say it's not, but the action shows that it is. Otherwise, he'd still be at Georgia, you know, but he transferred to Miami because they were going to pay him more money, and that's where his girlfriend is and all that stuff. And good on him. Like, I don't blame him for that. But I mean, I think a lot of these guys, it's, you know, it's the fame, the fortune, the girl, the car, you know, all that stuff. And
because I know how the 19-year-old Joe Dubin was.
I know how the 19-year-old Chase McCabe was. I probably would have done the same damn thing.
You're paying me $1 million. Yeah, I mean, I'll work out, I'll do a few things, but I got my money, man. I mean, so I just hope that and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm 100% wrong on this, that these guys still have the motivation to go out there and get it done. But it's like an NFL free agent. I still go back to Chris Johnson. When he signed in 2011, that massive deal, he was 50% of the running back going forward than he was before.
Yeah.
And don't call here and argue, because he was my damn fantasy football running back for all those years. So I remember the heartache, but it was completely, he got paid. And look, there's nothing wrong with getting paid, right? There's nothing wrong with that. No. But you hope that you still keep the edge and the grind and the toughness, and the reason why you got there is going. And there are probably a lot of players on that kind of box that you put in that are going to do that, still get it done. So I like to I'm wondering, because I just go back through me, what was the motivation, man? And I hope these guys got it.
I had a pro athlete tell me one time, I'm not going to say his name, I'll tell you off the air, but you know, that he made a lot of money, and we were kind of discussing, you know, how it changed things, and they were like, look, at the end of the day, you know, you have a passion and you want to play the sport, and you know, that's why you got into it. But you know, when you're fortunate enough and God graces you with the talent where you can make that kind of money, you do want to enjoy it when you're done. You want to enjoy it for the rest of your life. And so my takeaway from that was, yeah, you know, you might dial it back a little bit, because, and I don't agree with that, but you know, I've also never been in that position to make that kind of money. So, you know, if if that's the mindset, and I know guys that made a lot of money that didn't have that mindset, you know, I mean, one of them hosts our midday show. He never stopped, and he made some, you know, he had some big contracts in his career. I'm sure he'd love to be playing now in today's NFL and college, but you know, Derek Mason never stopped. He never dialed it back. So there are definitely examples both ways, but it is changing things. But you know, especially the key phrase, Joe, 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old. We were all dumb at that age. And if we say we weren't, we're lying, because we all know we were. And if you handed me $5 million at 20 years old, I mean, I'll have 2 Corvettes. I wouldn't have listened to Herm Edwards, who said I only needed 1 girl and 1 car.
Right.
I mean, like,
Don't listen to that.
you know, 1 house. Like, I would have done all that stuff. I mean, I worry about me at 37 if you hand me $5 million.
No doubt. And that's the thing. These kids, I mean, but look, it's not their fault. They're getting paid. That's fantastic. There's not a damn thing you, me, or anybody listening could do about these guys getting paid now. But you hope, you know, that when they do get paid and you do sign these guys, it's like, look, this is why you're here, why we brought you here. You know, we're paying you to get to play and do great things. And that's just kind of a hope and a prayer after that, man, to everybody get it done. But the landscape has changed. It's not going to go back the way it was ever again. And it is going to be something to watch going forward. And remember, when more people get involved in something, they're able to screw this up. So we'll see what happens.
It's not going to go back to the way it was, but I think we're going to have a better appreciation. You remember the story came out when Gunnar Stockton took over for Georgia because Beck got hurt. And, you know, they talked about like all the money that Beck's making, and Gunnar Stockton pulls up to practice in like a beat up old Ford F-150 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, we like that. Yeah. Give me the workhorse guy. And like there's quarterbacks, there's a quarterback in the NFL that still drives like his old car. And like, I appreciate that.
Is it Brock Purdy?
I think it's Brock Purdy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
And obviously he hadn't gotten the big payday yet. I mean, he was the last pick in the draft, so he's not making a ton of money.
He's not making Carson Beck money.
No. Yeah. I mean, Carson Beck's making more than he is.
Right.
But, you know, I appreciate those guys. And I think Stafford was one of those guys too, that like, you know, I'm going to hang on to some simplicity, you know, before I was a big deal. And I mean, that's a product of, you know, mom and dad and how they were raised and all that stuff. But it's going to be few and far between now moving forward.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Our friend Laura's weighed in about the best concert. She says Van Halen in 84 and that U2 at MTSU in the round. I don't remember that one.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
But that would have been U2 in the round at Murphy Center. Would have been fantastic just to see that. One more real quick before we go to the break. Best concerts. Cody from Jolton. I got to see Toby Keith at the Pyramid of Memphis when he raised the Shock and Y'all album.
Oh, yeah.
And then my mother surprised my mom to go see Bob Seger at the FedEx Forum. Keep in mind, I'm 28 currently, so I was the youngest person in the crowd in 23. Bob Seger, I've never seen him, would have been an amazing show.
Can I tell real quick, kind of along those lines to Cody? So being the youngest person in the crowd, my grandmother absolutely loved Neil Diamond. Like Neil Diamond was her favorite, and my dad loved him too, and my cousin Lori. And so I was in 8th grade, I think. It was like November of I think it was 8th grade, and my dad. It was right before Thanksgiving break, and my dad was like, "Hey, we're gonna take your grandmother to Neil Diamond," and I was like, "Well, I want to go." You know, and I was probably 14. I had I knew Sweet Caroline. That's all I knew. And so I'm 14 years old going to this concert. And Joe, I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't the best concert I've been to, because I've been to a lot since then, but it was awesome. And I remember it. I remember him doing, you know, all his big hits and America and all that stuff. And that was right after 9/11. So when he did America, there was a big deal and all that stuff. It was just, that was just a cool thing. So I get it, you know, being the youngest one there, but still open your mind and have an appreciation for it.
Did you did you sing Heartlight with him with Turn On Your Hot Light?
Yeah, we did that one. What's the Blue Jean song that he has?
Money talks.
But they don't sing and dance and they don't walk.
There you
go. So Forever in Blue Jeans. That's it.
go. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a great concert.
Did
for
you
sure.
did you throw your panties at Neil Diamond or anything?
No, I did not. 615-737-1025. Oh, please weigh in. So save me from this. We'll continue the discussion next. It's the Chase and Big Joe Show presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. And our Nashville's best deal this week, 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. 312 Pizza Company serves the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. Just head to thegamenashville.com/deals to get half off a $30 gift card to 312 Pizza Company while supplies last. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, The Game on this Tuesday, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Yeah, you almost sent a few people off the road on the text line.
Sorry, man.
Patrick says, guys, you can't just say, did you throw your panties at him and expect us not to run off the road? Thanks for the laughs every day. Best show on the radio. And then
Sorry.
Kevin said, Chase throwing his panties at Neil Diamond is something I did not need to picture in my mind, but now it's planted. Thanks, Big Joe.
Oh, man. You shouldn't do that, Chase. You shouldn't do that.
I didn't.
Oh, wow. We got witnesses that you did.
You just threw it out there. I was 14. Come on, dude.
That's even worse. Oh, man.
I did not do that. A couple of answers on the best concert. Chris says 1990, Don Henley at Starwood Amphitheater. Awesome show and a beautiful night. Joe, you may have been there.
I don't remember. I think I was. I don't think I was. But Don Henley would be really good in concert.
So, okay, and Chris kind of sparked something with me. I said Paul McCartney, but I did see the Eagles a few years ago, or Eagles, not the Eagles. I did see Eagles a few years ago at Bridgestone, and it was Vince Gill was with them because Glenn Fry had already passed away, and Deacon Fry was with them too. They played the entire Hotel California album, like from front to back, and it was awesome. So that might be a close second, or if not a first.
You and I went to my number 2 show. We did Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yeah,
and
with the original band all together.
That's right. And they were like, "Oh man, we got side of the stage ticket." We were like 5th row. And I swear Lindsey Buckingham was flirting with us all night long.
He was.
He just kept walking over to us and laughing.
Yeah, he just kept looking.
So that was they sounded great, but that was
you threw your panties that night.
I threw my fanny pack at him with my phone number inside.
Explain it again with those nuggies.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2015. It sure was.
That is unbelievable. 9126 or Corey from Big Sandy says Eric Church at Ascend Amphitheater in 2015. He did an all acoustic show, and Ryan Bingham was opening for him. They were awesome. I was at that show. It was a great show. That was, in fact, I believe that was the first show at Ascend Amphitheater. He did 2 nights, and I was at the first one, and that was the first show at Ascend Amphitheater.
God, has that place been around 10 years now?
Yeah.
Chihuahua, man.
I saw you and we saw ZZ Top there.
We did.
Jimmy Buffett I went to several times at Ascend. I saw Whitesnake, and
was that the Storm?
Yeah, Foreigner. They were opening for Foreigner. It was supposed to be Jason Bonham and then Whitesnake and then Foreigner, and Bonham got canceled because of the storm.
Yeah.
Foreigner was really good. Trying to think of some other shows I saw there.
Duran Duran in 2016 was a terrible show because Nick Rhodes, the piano player, had stomach issues. So they played like half their set list.
Oh no.
And I'm like, where is Save a Prayer for the Morning After and some other songs? And it's like, yeah, he had stomach issues. I'm like, I have stomach issues every single day, and I show up here. So there was no excuse for that.
Let's go to the phones. Got some callers that want to weigh in on this. CW, what's your best concert?
Joe, you have to know this. Pink Floyd, when they came to Vanderbilt State.
That's the 94, right?
94, they rocked. They played an extra 35, 45 minutes. The people that lived in that neighborhood complained about how loud it was and all this and that. Don't you remember that? It was the greatest.
I saw them in Birmingham like 3 weeks later, so I didn't see them here. But I know what you're talking about.
Yes, they went an extra 30 to 40 minutes, and they played the song "The Wall." It's just, dude, it was the best.
That's awesome. Thanks for the call. I would have loved to have seen Pink Floyd. I bet that would have been a good show.
It was a great show. I mean, it was everything you think it would be. It was a great show.
And gone are the days of like playing an extra 30 minutes or going off the set list. Everything's so scripted and produced nowadays. Tom wants to weigh in on the best concert. Tom, what's up?
Hi, guys. In 75, I saw Led Zeppelin just before they released double album Physical Graffiti.
Nice.
Where'd you see him?
Minneapolis. It was like the first tour stop.
Nice, buddy.
Very cool. Very cool.
And
I'm jealous.
speaking of Van Halen, I saw them 3 times with Roth, Hager, and Sharon. Sharon was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. Hey, thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Tom. You know who Eddie wanted when David Lee left? I think I'm correct on this. When David Lee left, he wanted Patti Smith from The Scandal, the one that was married to John McEnroe.
Really?
And she said no. Yep.
Huh. You want to? So he brings up Minneapolis. I saw my first concert in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Target Center. And you can laugh at me all you want. I kind of was. I went because it was my mom's best friend and her daughter and her friends all went to Spice Girls. So that was my first concert. The Spice Girls.
I was going to say Mark Lowry, but that would have made me laugh. That would have made me laugh. Or the Gaither brothers.
My mom, well, I say that's my first concert. My mom thinks that when I was like 4, she took me to Kool and the Gang, but I obviously don't remember that.
Let's keep that. Moms are never incorrect. Let's keep that.
Kool and the Gang. I mean, look, if that's the first concert, Kool and the Gang, that's not a bad one.
Right. It's not bad at all, man.
Alex from Montreal says best concert was the Cult at the Montreal Forum.
Oh, that had to be excellent.
The worst was Guns N' Roses at Olympic Stadium. Huge riots after Axl walked off the stage.
Is that when Metallica played? I saw the behind the music, right? Metallica didn't play, and they asked Axl Rose, and he refused or something, and it caused a huge riot. Yeah.
Huh. That's crazy. I mean, you know what's fun about this question is like I started thinking back through all of the concerts that I've been to. You know, the first rock concert was Aerosmith at Starwood. See, that's the other thing. Like everybody that's moved here, or like Dr. Crane, you probably missed Starwood, didn't you?
I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, like if you could go back in time, I would take Dr. Crane to a concert at Starwood.
No doubt. But what show would you go to?
It'd be Van Halen or Motley Crue or somebody like that.
Now, are you taking me out to dinner with this? Like, is it a steak and shakes type of situation? We just pick me up from the house and we're going.
Yeah, for sure.
You cheap.
I'm just asking.
As well. He's giving you a concert.
Listen, some people like Kevin Malone like to be wined and dined. Just want to put that out there. Some people like the steak fries over at Steak and Shake, the super thin ones, the shoestrings.
Oh man, I would take if I had one show, I would have taken you to see Eddie Murphy when he was like the second act at Starwood in June of '86. I'd have taken you to that.
Well, thank you.
I mean, Starwood is like a part of growing up. Like I smelt the funny cigarettes for the first time.
Yep.
and asked my dad what that smell was.
Yeah. He's like, don't worry about it, son. You'll figure it out soon enough.
Basically it was like, you'll learn when you're older.
It's a messed up septic tank.
Yeah, something like that. By the way, Al, this is not nice. Al says, OMG Spice Girls, he definitely wears panties. I do not. Come on. I was drugged to it. It was
I would have gone.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was fine. What was that drop?
Bring gas.
Yeah, there you go. That's for sure. Brian says maybe not my favorite, but went to Deep Purple in early 2000 at Starwood. I was a senior in high school, and it was that show that I realized even old folks still smoke the good stuff. Definitely my most memorable show.
Yeah, that's especially at Starwood, man. That was the wacky tobacco. That was
It
was just a given. I mean, and nobody bothered you. Nobody bothered you at these concerts. They were just so much fun.
Yep, and you had to sit on the lawn at Starwood.
Especially during a Buffett show.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, we'll tell you what day it is and celebrity birthdays here on Chasing Big Joe presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Tuesday. By the way, Dr. Crane and I were discussing this during the break, Joe. I think it's time to change up this song that brings us into the last segment. But I think we should have some fun with it and maybe let the people weigh in.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Just, keep it fresh, change it up.
I thought you guys might be discussing which shows you threw pennies on stage.
Yeah, we did
Dr. Crane.
Yeah, we did that too.
I'll pass on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like pass on the stage or pass just
no pass in general with the
Okay.
conversation. Yeah, no.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I don't do that stuff.
His was Wilson Phillips. So when
Did Tiffany open for that show? I
Yeah,
think it was.
yeah. I mean, he said Tiffany was great, but when Wilson Phillips came on and they sang "Hold On," I mean, he was just tears.
You know the line. They could bring a tear to a glass eye.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got that,
Just
right?
buckets. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays. And of course, it's presented by Jarrett Companies Inc. Above and beyond industry standards. The only company you need for commercial construction services, commercial plumbing and HVAC, all forms of HVAC units, commercial refrigeration, and grease trap cleaning. Just go to JarrettCompaniesInc.com.
All right, gentlemen, first on the list. It is a odd day with the list, but we'll carry on with it. Be Electrific Day. Electrific, like, fantastic. Electrific.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Next one we have
Well,
is
Jarrett Companies also has electrical services, so there you go.
Perfect.
bingo. Let's see, Extraterrestrial Culture Day.
Nice.
So if you love
Okay.
aliens, today's
Yeah.
your day.
E.T.
Who
Chase
doesn't?
sang "Turn On My Heart Light" with Neil Diamond. That was the E.T. theme song. It's all tying in
so
today.
Good.
Phone home.
Yep.
Let's see, Get Out Your Guitar Day. Chase McCabe can go
Oh.
play us something on the way out, maybe.
You want me to get it?
Hey, if you want to. We also have Grandmother Achievement Day. Shout out, Nani. Thank you. Bless you.
Nani.
Yeah,
We love
Nani's
Nani.
great. My grandma, not so much. She hated me. So,
Well, I love you.
well, my grandma liked three things: Wheel of Fortune, her whiskey, and Jimmy Carter. That's it. That's all she cared about. And that's fine.
Everybody has their preference.
Right.
We also have International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So shout out to
Nice.
them science people. National Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day.
Great advice.
Lactose intolerant for some people. Yeah. Let's see. National Inventors Day. So Ben Franklin,
Nice.
electric. Yeah. Let's see. National Latte Day. Not a latte guy. Just give me the black coffee.
Latte da.
Hey, latte
Right.
Day. National Peppermint Patty Day. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take a peppermint patty.
Bet you will.
Easy, Joe.
I'm just saying, what? Come on, David James.
National Make a Friend Day. I'm always out to make a new friend. It's always fun. You just, learn somebody's name and find a hobby. I don't know. National Promise Day is next. This one is, let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I want. Oh, yeah, I'll read it. National Shut In Visitation Day. Shut in. I really don't understand this one. We're just going to continue. Pro Sports Wives Day, Safer
Good.
Internet Day, Satisfy Staying Single Day, and White Shirt Day.
Nice.
Love it. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. Our first birthday. She lives down in Leapers Fort, Columbia area. Sheryl Crow. How old is Sheryl Crow today?
And all she wants to do is have some fun. 58.
54.
63.
Wow.
Yep. Jennifer Aniston. Today's her birthday.
54.
52.
56. Chase up 1-0 on down here. Who else we got today? Singer Brandy Norwood. You know Brandy from back in the day?
Yeah. Oh, like Brent that just went by Brandy?
Yes.
46.
45.
46 exactly. Good job, Chase, on that. Kelly Rowland. How old is Kelly Rowland? What was that group she was in with Beyonce?
Destiny's Child.
There we go. Thank you. Kelly Rowland.
44.
46.
Somebody's killing it today. 44 exactly. Chase up 5-0. Let's keep going down this list here and see what we got. The great actor Taylor Lautner from the great Twilight movies.
35.
33.
33 exactly. It's 5-2 Chaser. All right, keep going down here a little bit. Singer Sergio Mendes. Thought he was dead though. Maybe not.
81.
80.
84. This is a terrible day. Actor Matthew Lawrence from Boy Meets World. Not the one who passed away, but Matthew Lawrence, the other one.
Well, Matthew Perry's
Matthew
the one.
Perry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Boy Meets World, Matthew Lawrence. I'm gonna say 45.
47.
45 exactly. Chase is up 7-2. What actor Damian Lewis? He was in Billions. He was also in Homeland, the first year. Great series. Damian Lewis.
43.
47.
54. And finally, singer D'Angelo.
40.
D'Angelo Vickers.
No.
53.
Oh, he's 51 to get a point. Chase wins 7-3. Good job,
sports
Chase.
birthdays?
There's one. I'm serious. There's only one. Larry Merchant, the boxing announcer on HBO. I'm telling you, that's the only sports birthday that I recognized.
62.
74.
94. There,
Jeez.
well done.
All right.
That's it.
Well, that will do it for us on this fine Tuesday.
Hey, to our guys out there, listen, if you're struggling and going through some things on your cell phone, you could call or text 988. Somebody's there all the time. Please, whatever you do, reach out, call that number. And look, I tell you, it's gloomy outside. The weather's miserable. You don't have to be. Just let you know that you are a beautiful human being. You take the weather with you. It's always sunshine with you. If you're going through some things, that's okay. Reach out to us. Remember, we love you. And more importantly, more than anything else in this world, God loves you.
Amen to that. Also, celebrity birthdays presented by Jarrett Companies, Inc., above and beyond industry standards. JarrettCompaniesInc.com. That's going to do it for us. DVD coming up next. We're back at it tomorrow at 9 here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.